since I'd done an actual league broadcast.
Anyway, so it's going to be bans that are of similar style for Sensei. I think exactly the same bans for them. They ban out the Nidalee, Jason, Cassiopeia. So
Graves,
Tolkien,
though.
Graves going to be banned. So they really think that's going to be a first pick prioritization. I imagine that maybe they think that Tyrion favoured that, hence where they picked it up on their first rotation, didn't want to play against it. But again, Braum has become the first pick priority, and we've seen this across the Premiership. Everybody, including Last Remedy, really prioritise this particular champion, and I really agree. I think Braum brings so much to the table as a support and has very few drawbacks too. So they're actually going to take out the Lucian, and this is what I expected from Scudsy over the Graves. He's going to go for the Elise.
Yeah, absolutely. And to be honest, later on in the rotations, I would not be surprised at all to see XL pick up the Trundle as well. That's kind of the support battle that we've seen multiple times throughout the Premiership. But again, because Braum has already been picked, they don't need to prioritise that. No. They can pick that on later down through the draft. But you're absolutely right. Elise and Lucian have been locked in for XL, which this could be an interesting one, with Lucian going to be there for Jokerism. This time he's going to be the more aggressive AD carry in the early game.
Doesn't really suit Jokerism's style, I would say. I have always felt Jokerism to be that sort of passive, incredibly good farming, makes the plays when it's right type of AD carry. He's going to be on the more aggressive playmaker though this time round. And actually Scudsy picking up a champion that I would say he is most well known for. I would say Scudsy's Elise has been the one that he has had most of the success on with the UK scene. And whenever I see Scudsy play in those do or die games, the Elise comes out and he always has an impact. But Ezreal and Gnar kind of swapsies for AD carries here, going over to Sensei, and it's going to be Averil on the Gnar once more. Now, I really don't expect to see the Rumble. If they do, I feel like they'd be making a slight mistake, but at the end of the day, it's what do you do? What do you pick for Tolkien here? Well, what is available for him?
The thing is, as well, Tolkien, the reason he was kind of hyped was for his Gnar play, right? He was the one that was able to go against Alfari. If he picked Gnar against that Fiora, he could hold his own. He could do a fantastic job. But with the Gnar picked away, it's like, what do you step back onto now? And this is the question that we're going to pose to him, because he tried the Rumble last game. He actually did a very good job on the Rumble.
Oh, don't get me wrong. His Rumble was fantastic, but its impact in terms of being able to make those final... Whoa, Yasuo.
And Syndra. I'm going to double check that's not placeholder, but I haven't had any messages, so I think it's safe to assume that that's an actual lock-in. So it's Gnar versus Yasuo, though. Typically, like at the high elo, it's said that Yasuo wins that lane, right?
Yasuo wins that lane, for sure. I think when it gets to Mega Gnar form, it's a little bit more even, and actually Yasuo has a little bit of a tough time. But in Mini Gnar, Yasuo was one of the better melee top laners to take to the fray. But it's super risky for Tolkien to lock this in on an almost do-or-die situation for XL. Obviously, the winner of this game goes to fight on M&M after this, so it won't be the loser bracket game that we're seeing. It will be that winners bracket game. We had a problem with the websites, just one of them.
Yeah, it will be the winners bracket game, but also this kind of leaves that spot for Orcs as a big question mark now, because it's like, do you go for that Trundle anyway and just make it so that we see Tolkien just relying on his own knockup? Do we possibly see something like an Alistair come on through? You're against a Braum anyway, so it's not like it's too bad of a matchup in lane.
You need some knock-up, right? You need some form of knock-up.
I mean, you've technically got Syndra.
Is that a knock-up?
It counts. If you mash R as she hits her, is it Call the Weak? I think, something like that. Then that knocks him. And it can do the thing.
But I feel like it can be moderately unreliable as opposed to going for something, like you said, like Alistair. Alistair has seen a little bit of professional play, but not much, I would say. He's definitely not top tier in terms of support. It's going to be Taric, though, so to be honest, they're mostly going to be relying on then Syndra and the self-knock-up of Yasuo himself here. But also, I think that invulnerability will come in really key here, specifically against the Orianna Shockwave, because to be honest, Sensei's composition is almost exactly the same. If anything, they have a more reliable AD carry to combo into a Shockwave as well, especially if he's going down that Frozen Gauntlet path that Jokerism did, which, by the way, is something that I was surprised about. Most Ezreals in the AD carry role these days go down a Triforce route, which gives them a really huge late game damage output. The Iceborne Gauntlet does kind of gimp you in some senses. I guess he was really just looking to control the engage. And, you know, you pick up the Iceborne last game to control the Gnar and the Gragas getting on top of you, but I'd imagine actually that in a Inax might go down the classic Triforce route. The only way I'd see him going for a Iceborne is because if he was very scared of Tolkien. So we'll have to see how Tolkien does.
And I think as well, part of that reasoning was one of the things you were talking about last game is, Inax this game, he has that massive front wall of the Gragas and the Nott. But last game, for Jokerism, that just simply wasn't the case. They didn't have a massive tanky team. They were all fairly squishy. I mean, it was a Graves jungle and then Rumble top, so they didn't have that front line for him to just hide behind. He needed the ability to just kite and survive himself.
And Scudsy actually plays a very aggressive Elise, but I would like to see him maybe take on a role of a tank this time around. I know Elise isn't the best at doing so. She used to be a lot better. But again, there isn't really anyone here to act as that big front wall for him. Taric can do an element of that, but again, this is a fairly squishy team from XL. I would say a fairly high-risk team coming out from XL. And honestly, Sensei just sticking to what worked for them last time. They just want to land that wombo combo. They didn't even actually manage to land a full wombo combo. But eventually it got to the end of the game where Orianna was at full build. She was one-shotting this very squishy team of XL once that Void Staff had been completed on top of the Rabadons. Especially with the Dragon buff. There was just no stopping her. So it just...
And the thing is as well, if you actually look at Sensei's lineup, they've actually improved that wombo combo because they've swapped out the Lucian for Ezreal, which fits into that team fight style a little bit better. You've got the True Shot Barrage, which you can layer on top of the other ultimates. When everyone's locked up, you can guarantee that's going to land onto multiple members. And I mean, it also kind of means that the later in the game we get, the stronger that combo becomes, and we've just seen that they are more than willing and more than able to stall a game out as long as possible.
They will take it to the absolute extremes, and honestly, to be honest, given that previous composition, I actually thought XL could have clinched it, but again, they made those impatient plays. My worry is, again, they just don't have great siege here coming from XL. Yes, Syndra is okay in a siege, but honestly, you've got to go now against a wave clear of Orianna, the wave clear of Ezreal if he goes down the Iceborne Gauntlet path, and obviously Gnar still brings the Boomerang to slow down minions and at least provide an element of wave clear. So I still think the siege from XL is bad. And honestly, I think at this point you're going to have to hope to the Lord that Tolkien becomes this massive split push pressure.
Yeah, absolutely. You're going to need him to be, and we'll see if that's going to be the case in this matchup specifically, because XL, like you rightly said, they're kind of going for a high-risk, high-reward strategy right now, and to be honest, kind of living on a prayer, and we'll see whether they're going to be able to pull this one out of the bag. I'm interested by the Taric pickup as well by Orcs here. We've seen a bit of Taric across the Premiership. I mean, looking at these two bottom lanes, obviously I don't think it's going to be an aggressive lane by any means, especially with the Ezreal being in the matchup. But do you think that the Lucian Taric lane is something that should just be able to bully out the Ezreal?
Difficult, because Braum can block a lot of what Taric brings to the table in terms of his offense. Genuinely, I don't think Ezreal will be touched here. Honestly, Braum will just stick up his shield.
Maybe emotionally,
but obviously seeing Taric on the other team, it must be very hard for him.
Very touching.
Very hard for him. But we are now heading into the 3-minute delay, almost over it, and now we're going into game. It came back up on screen. I was like, have we really been talking for that long? Surely not. And then I realised actually we've been through the entire 3-minute delay. It's just one of those days, mate. But obviously in that bot lane, I genuinely don't think, unless without help, Taric is going to get much out of being aggressive against the Ezreal. It's so difficult to lock Ezreal down with your stun as well, because he just has Arcane Shift. And obviously Taric is in a very finite, linear stun that he brings to the table. And Braum, A, can block most of it, and B, Ezreal has Arcane Shift. So that's going to be a super passive lane. If anything, I think that Ezreal and Braum can go offensive if they land a Winter's Bite onto Lucian. The lane for me to watch is obviously going to be top lane. That is, I think, really where the biggest the story is going to be for this game. Is we're seeing a Yasuo in a UK competitive game, and you better hope that Tolkien brings that top tier Yasuo play. Otherwise, honestly, it's going to feel very awful, because he's not going to bring anything to the table. His knockups are just going to be there purely for knockups, maybe a little bit of CC with Last Breath. And again, I genuinely feel like there isn't much apart from making picks and snowballing here for XL. I thought at least last time they had that late game prowess, but this game I don't even think they have that over the Sensei team. And Sensei have just got this good siege, good combo, good wave clear. They just need to make sure they don't fall too far behind.
Yeah, and I think one thing though for XL is, while they don't have this late game presence, they won't have that necessarily as good wombo combo. What they do have is an incredibly powerful snowball. They've got Yasuo, they've got Syndra, they've got Lucian. If they can get all of that going for themselves, they are going to be in a fantastic position. But here we go. We are on to Summoner's Rift, ladies and gentlemen, with Sensei on this blue side and XL over on the red side. Let's see how this one is going to be panning out, and take a look at the top lane matchup right now. We've got Avril on the Gnar and Tolkien on the Yasuo. This is kind of a old school matchup almost. It's a long time since I've seen Yasuo in the top lane.
It's a very long time since I've seen Yasuo in the top lane. I see it a lot in solo queue, and some people do pick it generally into Gnar to give them a favourable matchup, at least be able to be aggressive. And actually, as the game progresses, we'll be able to clear waves and duel with him as long as Gnar doesn't get too far ahead. Because actually, even Frozen Mallet doesn't provide you oodles of utility against the Yasuo. You still have the minion waves, which he can use his dash through. But obviously, if he gets into a clear and open wave, obviously you've got to be expecting Gnar again to have the benefit against any melee champions in that top lane. So I imagine that obviously, again, first point of call for Avril will be that Frozen Mallet. It generally is for most Gnars who want to win a split push lane matchup. If you choose to build solely for the team, sometimes you'll go down a more tanky or maybe even Black Cleaver build. But we are going to see the bot lanes take these camps away this time, Munch.
Yeah, we certainly are. So both of them going to be happy to grab that extra bit of cash dollar for themselves. But more importantly, that extra bit of XP as well. So going to be able to go away with those ones. And generally speaking, it's going to be a fairly standard start across the board. And I'm curious really to see this top lane. That's the number one thing for me in this matchup. And
absolutely.
To be honest, I'm curious to see whether we see aggression in the top lane. What we're going to see out of the junglers. Whether they opt to come and try and make this lane better for their side. It's certainly going to be an interesting one on what the pathing is like. Because last game, we saw very active junglers, but they were mirroring each other. There was nothing they could make happen.
Absolutely. I actually think Elise has slightly better time against the Gragas and the Gravestud, because of the cocoon, you can kind of stop Gragas in his path. You've got to remember that Dandy, well, he used to be known as Dandy, now known as Tyrion, probably one of his best champions is Gragas. Outside of the meme of him being a Fiddlesticks one-trick, when he obviously took on that main jungle role, he actually played a lot of Gragas and is very good at shot calling with it, very good at being aggressive with it, and makes very solid plays all around. Look at this though, Jokerism, oh, that's not the place you want to be.
Here we go, Jokerism does get stunned up in the end, and that's going to be Orc stunned as well. This is a fantastic trade for Inax and Grissom, and I mean, well, we said that Braum is going to make it very difficult to layer any pressure, and absolutely proving that in that trade.
And look at this. Looks like Tyrion is in the right place at the right time.
Yeah, he's coming on in. Jokerism once again going to get caught by the Winter Spite passive, and that's going to be Orcs locked up. Red buff is taken, has to flash away. They will survive, and here comes Tolkien with the teleport. They're looking to make this into a kill for themselves, and Grissom is going to be the first one to go down. First blood onto the Yasuo. Tolkien grabs a kill.
And look at that little swag dash out of the Tyrion body slam as well. Really good turn on. Look at this Scudsy coming down there. They maybe want to try and turn this into something more. Maybe we're going to get a 4-man, 5-man dive at this time of the game. Tyrion gets locked up.
Yeah, absolutely. Tyrion's in trouble and just gets deleted immediately. Orcs is still under tower though and will go down. That's bad news as Inax does get knocked up. Avril has arrived on the scene. Jokerism looking to finish off these kills, but Zandia takes a shot and he'll go down. It's traded 1-for-1, but now Scudsy's under tower. He drops as well. Avril turns it into a double kill. What is this clown fiesta to start the game off? Both top laners now with 2. And actually, Avril's not done. He's looking for Tolkien as well. He's managed, or Flash is still available. That's going to be the slow, but it's not going to be the kill.
XL overstepping, I would say, in that situation. I think they should have been happy with Dandy and thought, well, we've not died here. Going for a very early tower dive is always super risky. It's going to be 2 kills apiece going to the top laners, but actually, Inax picks up a kill, crucially gets his tier early on here. And Scudsy picks up the other for himself, actually going to go straight into an AP route here, so he's going to make sure he's got the extra movement speed, a little bit of AP behind him too without finishing that jungle item. But what the blinking hell happened there? That was absolutely ridiculous. XL, I was about to praise them, then they completely overstay.
Yeah, I have no idea what on earth was going on, to be honest, in that exchange. But to be honest, like with how after all of that, neither team has a lead. It's very reminiscent of the first game in this series, because it feels like no matter what happens, these teams will be able to answer it and will be able to even things up once again. Neither team can really step too far out of bounds.
I want to make a point again about vision control, because this has been something that I praised Sensei for, and again I'm seeing Dandy, or rather Tyrion, put down, I can't help but call him Dandy, Tyrion put down a lot of vision control in this dragon area once more, really trying to control that river area in the bot side of the map. And this is something that I praised him for initially. It's something that XL were weak on, and it looks like they're already starting that trend up once more.
Scudsy's coming into the mid lane. There's a stun that chain CC coming in onto Brixton. He's solo already, doesn't have summoners, and you mentioned it last game, when you've got no flash on an Orianna, you are going to go down.
Where did he burn his flash and his cleanse? I'm assuming...
in the bottom lane, in that engage, I think.
I don't even think Brixton made it to that engage, did he?
Maybe that's why he burnt his summoners.
I think Scudsy must have ganked earlier on and cocooned him, so he forced the cleanse and the flash out. But that's a really good read by Scudsy to go back there, because like I said, Orianna is so weak when she doesn't get her summoners. She has very little escape and it's very easy to take down. And what is so good is putting Zandia ahead. We've got a fun fact, by the way. XL had to do some last-minute roster shuffling, and they could come out and line up that could really rock the boat. This is not a squad to be underestimated. That sounds a lot like our boy ESL Joe Munchables writing.
ESL Joe Munchables, that's me. You can find me on Twitter at ESL Joe Munchables.
It's ESL Dat Boy.
That is me. I'm not going to finish that meme on stream.
No.
That's not the dream. But here we go. Brixton clearing away some wardage.
He's going to be
could
focused
be in trouble
again,
because Scudsy has found him, and I think Brixton just stood still for a minute there, and that was like a, oh god, here we go again. He is going to be finished off. Scudsy gets the kill in the end.
He's trying to give it over to Zandia, but Scudsy now 3-1. But what's more important is this is just denying Brixton farm. It's putting pressure onto him. Brixton knew that he was absolutely not going to get away from there, so didn't bother burning cleanse, even though the cocoon actually missed regardless. And he's really going to have to be waiting for that flash to come up to have any kind of safety in lane at this point in time, because you're going up against a very heavy stun coming out from Syndra, and then you combine that with the chain CC of the cocoon coming out from Elise. But what this is allowing Scudsy to do is very safely be aggressive into the enemy side jungle, but Tolkien, he has not had enough yet. He's going in on this top lane.
Yeah, and that's one of the things about Yasuo. Here he goes, actually. Last breath comes on through. Has to back away again, though, and I mean, that's literally what I was about to say. The thing about Yasuo is he will consistently go in and out of these fights because his cooldowns are so much lower than everyone else's in that top lane. And it means that you can just consistently keep those pokes going.
Yeah, absolutely. That was, honestly, something that I really praise good Yasuo players for, because what they do is use Last Breath, and they don't have to use it to commit entirely to going for a kill. Just use it as a form of harass. It's on such a low cooldown, you can just be back up by the next time you time to trade. If you get a winning trade, you sometimes get a massive advantage in lane, and it can just give you that impetus to go further and try and get it on the next time round. So Tolkien just using it as that harass tool, putting pressure down, trying to bait out some form of CC or some form of ultimate out of Gnar, and then just goes back out again, and it's almost off cooldown. So once that's back off, I expect him to do the same.
Absolutely. Well, Scudsy is going to be helping to try and make him do the same as he's heading towards his top lane. There is a ward available though, so we'll get spotted out, and Avril will be able to just hop away from that situation nice and safe. And I think as well, part of that was Zandia left the mid lane and Brixton called it immediately, and it's like, if you're Avril in that situation, you see the mid laner start roaming up, you're like, yeah, I smell her out on this one. Here we go though, Jokerism could be in trouble because we've got Tyrant coming into the lane. He's going to get stunned, actually flashes away, and it means that he will be able to get away with this one. Culling actually doing a lot of damage to Grissom, over half of his HP right there. But nothing comes out of the trade once again.
A couple of micro points I want to pick up on. You saw Jokerism go in because he knew that it was going to be very difficult for Grissom to commit to try and provide defense for him.
Zandia's in trouble. Brixton's going for the 1v1, but that is going to be a lot of damage out of the Syndra ultimate. Brixton can't chase through on that one, has no mana remaining, but fantastic pressure coming out from him. But used his flash aggressively right there, and that kind of puts you in the same situation that he was in before. Yeah,
you've got to also mention how crucial Zandia's level up was there, and also the fact he chugged a pot ASAP. Very big from him to do that. Look at Tolkien though, let's have a look at this CS. He's starting to build up a small advantage, goes in onto Avril once more.
Yeah, look at that fantastic play coming out from Tolkien, and I like how he delays using that last breath as well, just to make sure that that CC is as long as is physically possible, and just continuing to just dive around the lane. Did take quite a lot of harass after the trade though, so not ideal for him, and does mean that he can't get away with it quite for free.
Almost feels like until he's built up some of his crucial items, then he's going to struggle to actually get that final kill. A lot of this is just about putting pressure on, denying CC. He goes for the Phantom Dancer first, so really playing into that 1v1 matchup, just reducing the damage output that Na's going to have on him, and obviously gives him that huge critical strike bonus because of his passive. So yeah, some Yasuo builds kind of vary in what you tend to go for first item, but this is a very sensible item in a split push matchup, because obviously your main damage point is trying to reduce the damage that your opponent does to you, while also trying to get the most out of that critical strike from Yasuo. So he's going to go for the Phantom Dancer, which I really like, Munchables.
I really like Munchables too. Kappa.
Same.
Yeah, I definitely agree that that is going to be not only a very aggressive build, but certainly looking for those 1 versus 1 scenarios. And we were saying, he has to be that split push threat. That's what his role in this game is likely to be, especially with no other knockups on the team. But here we go, bit of a trade in the bottom lane. Tyrant is here once more, and Orcs is certainly going to go down there. Just gets annihilated. Inax finishing that one off with the True Shot Barrage. And this is actually going to be the bottom lane tower in trouble. Still on full HP right now. And the culling will come on through. Grissom going to be happy to block that on the minions right there. Teleport channeled by Averil. They need to commit to this, or no, cancels the teleport in the end. And actually, a convergence coming on through. Scudzy and Zandia both entering the fray. Grissom in trouble. He's been left out to dry by the rest of his team and will be finished. But the cocoon onto Tyrant as well. Half of his HP is already gone. And XL managed to capitalize with a kill of their own.
Yeah, both teleports cancelled there. They didn't want to force into a huge fight, especially with Averil being so close to Mega Na. But important there again, Grissom gets focused, having burnt his flash offensively once more. And again, Dandy puts a lot of pressure in this bot lane, really wants to try and abuse Jokerism. Zandia gets pulled in.
Yeah, Brixton going super aggressive, but he's 2 versus 1 right now. Zandia gets his shield. There's no mana on Brixton. And he gets shut down. Just far too aggressive on that one. Can't get the 1v1 kill. And it is going to be the Dragon going the way of XL. But to be honest, even if he got the kill, they still have enough players to get the Dragon.
Yeah, but also you've got to notice how clutch Orcs was with his Taric play right there. The Bastion to give that minor shield just to stop that final auto attack taking down Zandia, and then finally landing that stun as well onto Brixton, allowing the final orb to come down and take the kill. Clutch play from Orcs like there. Despite being focused in this bot lane, has had a fantastic game on Taric thus far. XL looking a lot healthier in this early game, putting on a lot of pressure with Scudzy, who's been fantastic, and Tolkien having a slightly decent lane matchup, but now that, like I said, now that Frozen Mallet's come down, it's difficult for Tolkien to find the same success in a split push that he did previously.
Yeah, absolutely. I did like the little bit of play there, using the wind wall and then using the knock up on the other side of it to make sure that the final proc of Hyper could not come into play at all. But all in all, that lane should just about even up over the next couple of minutes with the Frozen Mallet in play.
Yeah, Brixton gets locked up there by the Syndra stun. Huge time on that. Zandia now going to get spotted out by Tyrant, who's put some good warding down once more. He's now starting to focus this top lane in with his warding, as XL have cleared out the Dragon area, but they aren't really controlling vision themselves. Again, lackluster vision coming from XL. It's something that I've criticized them before previously. Very defensive lines, and all of these rivers generally are controlled by Sensei.
Yeah, they certainly are right now. And speaking of control, this top Tri-Brush is well and truly in Sensei control, and Averil in XL control. And here we go, Averil uses that hop, does have to flash as well, but here comes Tyrant, comes into this lanes at the perfect time every single time. Scudzy's been knocked back. Tyrant is low though, and might not be able to get away with things, and that is going to be a knock-up. That's going to be straight into a stun from Zandia.
Great
there
combo.
We have it. Look at this teamwork coming through from XL.
Brixton is coming in. He's trying to pick up a kill with that orb, but the ball rather, but it looks like XL are going to happily siege, and now they're the ones in control of sieging. This is XL taking the advantage and the impetus. It looks like there's a little bit of an engage going in the bot lane. Yeah,
Grissom pushing forward, trying to get onto Orcs, but Jokerism is going to be quite happy to keep this trade on the go. Grissom incredibly low and has to flash on out of there. 3 summoners used right there by the likes of Sensei, and XL once again just win out a trade.
Yeah, and now they can maybe look to pressure bot. get some dives going on, given that they've got this top lane down. They can start to take turrets early. They'll be the ones taking the pressure on the turrets. They'll be the ones trying to control things ASAP. But it looks like Tolkien, taking away the Rift Herald buff, could really put himself as a massive split push threat. He's got a lot of gold in the bank right now as well. Go back and pick up some more items, maybe some more flat damage. And he could have a pretty decent time going up against Averil in the top lane.
Certainly could. He's going to get that Rift Herald buff and then head straight on back to base. So he's going to be quite happy with that one. And to be honest, this is a very different mid lane to what we saw last game. Last game it was incredibly even the entire time. Both mid laners doing a fantastic time of just farming up. This time, different story completely. 20 CS lead for Zandia, but as well 3-1-3, but fight in the bottom lane. Look at the melt. Orcs goes down as well. 2 kills go the way of Sensei, and immediately the teleport is cancelled.
Yeah, it's basically a 2v2 win there somehow for Sensei in the bot lane. I've got to say, despite Jokerism, you know, having a lot of hype behind him, this is almost, I feel like, been a bit of a weak lane for XL. I feel like a lot of their problems have come because honestly the Sensei bot lane has looked very, very good. I definitely think that a part of that is due to Tyrant's pressure. He really seems to like pressuring the bot lane. We saw it in the last game. The first turret was to go down in the bot lane that allowed them to rotate and take another turret. It looks like they're going to return and get their first bot lane turret this time round.
So look at the damage going out onto Averil. That's half of his HP immediately. And Tolkien actually chasing for this one. Going for the tower dive. One more hit. He's incredibly low though and will trade his own life for it. Not worth, my friend. Does end up going down. But luckily for him, I believe that top lane minion wave is pushing towards him. So not the end of the world. A little bit over aggressive though.
Yeah, it actually does look like he's going for his own frozen mallet. So just trying to return in kind, that if he does get that dash onto the Gnar, he'll be slowing him as much as Gnar is slowing in return. Now, I imagine Scudsy, and with that mid lane turret going down as well, Zandia will want to start pressuring this bot lane. It may be here that XL get this for free. Zandia taken very low, and Scudsy having to do cleanup duty, and with it looks like Inax heading up towards that mid lane. It's given a little bit of time now just to get a quick return turret here for XL, so they're going to get their bot lane turret too.
Yeah, so turret for turret in the end, but it is still 3-1 in favour of XL when it comes to those turrets. They've built up a significant gold lead, just over 4,000 gold for themselves. So XL right now, they're sitting pretty at just 17 minutes in the game, which, you know, a very different story to what we saw in game 1 of this series. Obviously, Sensei 1-0 up right now, but not doing fantastically here on the second map. And we'll see what Sensei can change in this one to really kind of catch up to their opponents. I
think one of the bigger issues has been for Sensei that finally Scudsy's realised that focusing Brixton can be a pretty solid idea because they've got Zandia in a bit of a commanding position. The one drawback is that Inax is 3-1 on this Ezreal. He's already picked up his Iceborne Gauntlet and his Mana Immune. It's going to make, if we come to a teamfight situation, it very difficult for Tolkien. With Tolkien's build, though, I genuinely feel he's just going for a flat split push build. You don't build Frozen Mallet as a Yasuo if you want to have an impact in a team fight, really. You just go for full DPS. So he's basically said, I want to duel Gnar as much as possible. I'm going for a flat split push here. We're never going to team fight. We're just going to try and win smaller skirmishes. And even if they teleport in and team fight, I will just continue to push the lane because I am Yasuo and I push very quickly.
Yeah, and right now, he's not even having to push the lane because he's quite happy to freeze this one and just allow that CS to be soaked on up and get a whole bunch of XP. But the second I opened my mouth, he immediately started to shove that one out, and I also immediately missed the kill that went down onto Tyrant.
And again, this is actually now Vision kind of stepping up for XL. I'd even say Sensei's Vision is adapted incredibly well. They've started to focus a lot of their pink wards in their own side jungle, given the turrets that have gone down. But XL have started to be at least a little bit more aggressive, which did allow them to make a pick onto Tyrant there. So they playing to the strengths of their composition, which is that pick orientation. They've got very good pick potential. Picking off one member in the jungle, making sure they maintain good vision control, will be a key to their winning here, I would say, Munch.
Yeah, absolutely. Now Zandia heading up towards this top lane. Averil needs to be a little bit careful, but actually he's got some reinforcements. But Brixton's solo already in this fight. The knockup's coming on through. Where is the shockwave? It's still on cooldown, but there's a Gnar into the wall. Zandia goes down. Tolkien will follow. The shockwave is going to finish him off, and Orcs trying to get away with his life. In the meantime, Jokerism has finished that mid lane tier 2 tower. but it's at the cost of 2 of his teammates.
You would probably take the tower for 2 teammates. It's actually Grissom going to go in onto Orcs here.
It might just be more than 2 though. Orcs is going to get locked up. Scudzy tries to save him, but it's not quite enough.
Scudzy's also gone for that aggressive build again, by the way. I think he went for Runic Echoes there, and he's going to be followed up by the Hextech Proto Belt. So no one really taking the role of tank again for XL. They're really just relying on their ability to burst down key targets.
Everyone's so low on this Sensei lineup, though. They can't even take a single tower off those.
They can't take a single carrot, Munchables.
Not a singular carrot. But the tower is going to survive. And that means bad things right now for Sensei, because, you know, trading a tower for 3 kills, I guess it's just about even in terms of gold, but it's definitely not even in terms of map control.
Absolutely. I think Tolkien needs to stick what he's doing best here and just continue to split push. Getting dragged into a teamfight situation I just don't think benefits XL in the slightest. They just have a weaker teamfight all round, unless they can burst a key target with Zandia, which is difficult to do against Braum, because he'll probably just be saving that Unbreakable to just block as many of those Syndra Orbs as possible. They just need to stay in picking, make sure they control vision, which generally has just been way better for Sensei across this series. I don't know if you agree with me, Munch, but I honestly think Sensei's vision has just been all out slightly better. It looks like Zandia.
Yeah, Zandia's in trouble, and he's actually going to be able to get a kill before he goes down. So 1 for 1, but it is going to be each of them actually taking the other out as well. Brixton doesn't have Shockwave, though. It's pretty much all of the ultimates have been used. Here comes Averil, but he's not in that Mega Gnar form. And Tyrant on this front line is going to be in trouble. He goes down. Tolkien jumps on it and locks Averil up. He's not going to get Mega Gnar, and he is going to get cut down by Scudzy's fangs. And now actually they're going to be heading towards this Baron. I don't know if they really have the damage to do this, but I guess with a Yasuo and a Lucian, maybe they can.
They need to zone the Orianna away, though. Brixton could single-handedly stop this from happening. I think that's going to be the plan for Brixton. But you've got to remember, if they do step too close, they'll probably do exactly what they did last time, which is just go straight in with the Scudsy Cocoon. It's looking pretty good, though, for XL. No one there in time. It's going to require a lot of zoning with very little time to do so.
Nice stun from Orcs. They should be able to finish this one off. They have Smite available, and Tyrant is not nearby. There is the Baron going down. Grissom trying to get away with his life, but Jokerism should be able to chase this one down in the end. Will get his Ardent Blaze onto the target, gets a movement speed boost, and that is going to be him dropped in the end. So a Baron and a kill to boot. XL are starting to run away with things.
Averil had to pull basically a almost emergency teleport. He was in mini Gnar form, which is just not what you want to have impact as Gnar. You do not want to teleport into the middle of a team fight as mini Gnar. You want to have an immediate impact going in with Mega. That's why playing Gnar, it's better to be openly vocal with your team, stay in a split push role, and really cool out when you're going to be Mega Gnar soon, because that gives your team the best opportunity to think about a fight. I guess the thought process behind Sensei making that pick onto Zandia there was that they were absolutely certain in every way, shape or form that it was never going to turn into a full-on team fight. They thought they were just going to pick off Zandia and it would be the end of the story, but Zandia getting a return kill, Brixton using the ultimate, and the rest of XL making a flank play ended up forcing the hand of Averil, which just put him into an awful position because he just didn't want to teleport there.
No, absolutely not, and now that's going to be on cooldown, so won't be able to use it in the near future either, and these Baron waves are building up and up on each of these lanes for the likes of XL. See what they're going to be able to do with those lineups. Here comes Scudzy as well to the top lane, and the rest of the team going to be following. This will be a tier 2 tower going down in favor of XL, and that's going to be their fifth to just the 1 tower from Sensei, who, to be honest, don't seem to be able to get anything on the board at this stage. They're really falling behind and struggling to find their way back into this game. In the meantime, the split push going on in the bottom lane between Averil and Tolkien, but it's definitely going to be going the way of Tolkien since he's got that Baron buff on side.
Brixton doesn't have the damage right now to wave clear efficiently. He's literally sitting on just a Morella Nomicon in terms of his damage output for tier 3 items, so I don't think he's got what it takes to be able to clear these waves significantly, but we've got to remember Inax is here with a pretty significantly advanced build for the rest of his team, so he should be able to do work with that Ezreal. Really depends on how much... Oh wow, here goes
Jokerism has been caught out. What a play coming through from Tyrant. Inax picks up the kill, and he's looking for more as well. Zandia does get locked up. The invincibility comes through, but it won't last forever, and they need to run to the hills. Tyrant goes in once again. Triple knock up from him, but there isn't any follow-up. It is just going to be the single kill, but it's also going to be the siege broken now.
What a play from Sensei again.
Tolkien goes deep in the bottom lane, going for the 1 versus 1. Avril will get Mega Gnar at the last second, stunned underneath tower. Tolkien is going to get pushed at the tower range. Avril wins out the 1 versus 1, and in the meantime, the fight's kicked off again in the top lane. But they are going to back away. And this has become awfully action-packed.
Our XL's biggest issue haunts them once again. Their ability to siege is just lackluster. It has been every single game. They just can't seem to find those crucial moments to siege properly against these inhibitor turrets. Always getting caught out by these clutch reactionary plays coming out from Tyrion. That's something we praised him for. He's a great shot caller. Knew that he wasn't going to get a multi-man Orianna ultimate, but just taking out Jokerism stops XL in their tracks. Gotta say though, Tolkien's looking pretty good in the 1v1 versus Avril. That was some clutch play by Avril to even just come away with the kill there. A lot of help being done by the turret. Fully expect Tolkien to just continue to mount that pressure. It looks like he's going towards an Infinity Edge as well, so once that's finished, he'll be a real threat. But as it stands, global objectives still far and wide being contested in terms of favour of XL. Doesn't look like, even with some of those small advantages being picked up by Sensei, they're not able to really start to contest further than outside their own jungle.
Absolutely, but we do have Inax right now starting to really ramp up for this squad. He's doing a fantastic job, and actually Avril going to be given this red buff as well, so to help him out in this 1 versus 1 against Tolkien a little bit, that's certainly going to be helpful, especially just for that health regen more than anything.
Yeah, I don't feel that Tolkien will really go for the 1v1 with that red buff being available on Avril. I genuinely don't think that they're bothered about giving red buff over to Ezreal, because there aren't many like high health targets that you want the true damage to have an impact on. So just why not give it over to Gnar, who seems to be struggling in the 1v1. Just try and buy yourself some more time. I guess that's what Sensei think they need. They need to buy more time, because look at Brixton. This is 26 minutes into the game. He's only got an Abyssal Scepter and a Morellonomicon, still not even got tier 2 boots. The biggest team-wide damage dealer for Sensei is just going to really need at least another good 10 minutes to get the items he needs to have an impact.
Well, this is exactly what they did last game as well, though. They just stalled it out for as long as they could, and right now they haven't lost any inhibitors yet, but all of the rest of the tier 2 towers have gone down. XL have been making a much more aggressive stance in this game and starting to really take these towers down a lot earlier on. Last game, I feel like XL were much more willing to just kind of sit on their laurels and allow it to go to that late game. They had the Ezreal, you know, they felt like they were confident going into late game team fights, especially with the Rise as well. But this time around, it's very clear to me that XL aren't going to be as comfortable in that situation, and they want things to end much quicker.
Though they need to have things end much quicker, and this has been one of the bigger issues for XL, that they don't really know how to make that happen. They don't seem comfortable to wait until Tolkien's pushed the wave all the way up and putting pressure on the tower. And honestly, even versus a Gnar, you're going to find it difficult as Tolkien, as Yasuo, to just siege by yourself. And this is the problem with all of XL's compositions. They kind of do really well while they're invading the enemy jungle, making picks, having skirmishes. But when it comes to the real essence of winning League of Legends, taking down those final crucial turrets, they really struggle. They really do struggle, Joe.
Well, Tolkien just going to be clearing away and just continuing to shove those waves in that bottom lane. Just giving Mystic? That's not Team Mystic, it's Team Sensei. Such a difficult time just having to consistently go back and clear away those minion waves that are just being shoved in toward the towers. But so far they're not doing too bad on it, and I think they're quite happy to just hoover up those waves. But the issue they've got right now is when you look across the scoreboard, it is 10,000 gold in favour of XL, and there is a huge CS lead in each and every single lane.
And that's one of the bigger issues that you're seeing this gold advantage open up for XL. They're just, because of the way they played their laning phase, they just were really super far ahead from that. They were able to move in, they used their composition quite well to make picks. It shouldn't have been as close as it is, really. They've just made some small mistakes, as XL generally tend to do in their gameplay. And this is where it's going to be win or lose for XL. You know, they need to somehow break these turrets once more. I think Baron is likely going to be the key for them. That's looking like that's what they're setting up for. I genuinely don't think their siege is good enough without Baron. So we'll have to wait and see whether that is the play that they make. The best case scenario would be Sensei trying to contest Baron and XL turning it.
Yeah, absolutely. But the thing is, we start to get to that point where if they are fighting over Baron, if they're fighting especially in Baron Pit, that wombo combo is available for Sensei. They can get that ridiculous combination of ultimates that will just win them the fight regardless of gold lead. But at the same time, when it is a 10,000 gold lead, it's going to be very difficult to find that scenario kind of panning out in that exact way. The
bigger issue is that Brixton's sitting on only 2 items, and those 2 items aren't exactly big ticket damage items. You've got Morellonomicon and Abyssal Scepter. Abyssal's good, but generally as an Orianna, you're probably not going to be super close to that teamfight scenario where Na either jumps in or Tyron jumps in on the Gragas and has their body, you know, providing that element for the command shockwave. That's going to be more of the issue for me. The saving grace right now is Inax, and it has been for Sensei for a considerable period of time, and especially in the last series as well. He has hit that 3 items on Ezreal. He's going to be hitting like a truck. There isn't anyone to soak the damage up for XL like there was for Sensei, but it does look like Sensei are just going to give this Baron over. They feel like they can weather the storm.
Well, so far it's working out for them, but XL are going to be able to grab themselves that Baron buff, but unfortunately, apparently Tolkien having a couple of issues with his internet. We are going to get another post coming on through, but in the short amount of gameplay that we did have coming on through, it was XL grabbing themselves the dragon, which, you know, that really could be the difference in this game between, you know, XL, we've been mentioning how they don't have that potential to siege. Now they've got Baron on side. That completely covers that weakness.
Absolutely, but I want to see them use it more in a split push scenario. I think they can. I think this is the key for them, right? The last game they didn't commit to split pushing with Baron. Ultimately, that's the strongest thing you can do Baron. You know, use Baron with. You split push with it because, you know, you provide that Baron lane minions to every lane that you have a member in. So previously, Tolkien just couldn't 1v1 Gnar effectively. That was the biggest issue. So they ended up grouping up. They couldn't 1v1 each other. Tolkien was too afraid of going into the 1v1 matchup, even with Baron. Yep. They were also afraid of getting engaged on 5 versus 4 because of the solid engage coming up from Sensei. They knew they would lose in a straight-up team fight. So they didn't use Baron to its full potential. They tried to siege through one lane, and just by rigorous wave clearing coming out from Brixton, essentially Sensei were able to weather the storm and then win out in the late game just by exploiting the mistakes that XL made, the biggest mistake being that they tried to dive the top lane turret.
Absolutely. Well, we are back onto the Rift, so we'll jump back into this game. But yeah, that has kind of been the story of this game so far, as we are going to jump back onto the Rift and see whether XL are going to be able to change the pace a little bit. And let's remember as well, they are 1 game down in this series right now.
Absolutely. I mean, the favourites you would have imagined probably wouldn't have wanted to find themselves in this position. And again, we're getting a pretty solid length game coming out here. Already, this game almost stacking up to be as long as both of M&M's games from the previous week. You know, M&M were absolutely crushing dominant in their previous best of 3 series, but this is a lot more hard fought. Now, I'm really liking seeing Tolkien take that side lane position. I think that's exactly what they need to do. They've got a big minion wave there. No one there to contest him right now as Averil moves down, but Averil himself is not going to be able to deal with Tolkien, and this will be the bigger impact factor for XL, I think. Not their 4-man siege, but it's what Tolkien can do in the 1v1.
We'll have to see what he can do. He's gone for multiple 1v1s this game, but each and every time, it feels like Averil is able to just kind of take advantage of slight mistakes and just really make that fight work for himself. We've had basically 2 1v1s so far this game. One of them went completely even, and the other one, Averil managed to win out. So it's not been going fantastically for Tolkien so far.
Averil, though, at this point can't wave clear too effectively, and Tolkien really just has that pressure in the 1v1. You're seeing already he's nearly got that inhibitor turret down. One more minion wave should be the money ticket. And he's already bringing Brixton down. Brixton is being forced to come down here. And Tolkien jumps away, Averil jumps away as well. This should spell out to XL to just go for it, but they're timing their minion waves and their rotations incredibly well as Sensei right now. You know, when that minion wave has a reprise, Brixton moves down to help. When the minion wave comes back, well, actually, with that Rift Herald buff, Tolkien gets the...
He certainly does, but the fight is going to be kicking off. It's just 1 kill going away in the top lane. Scudzy has been locked up. He's trying to go for Inax, who survives thanks to Brixton's shield. Jokerism jumps forward, but he stands behind Braum. Will not survive, though, and Jokerism grabs himself a double kill. Tyron going to get the shield, but I don't think that's going to be enough to save it. In the meantime, Tolkien looking for the 1v1. This time, Averil doesn't have a tower to hide behind, and this Yasuo pick, we questioned it. We said it was risky. Averil survives with the flash, but So far, Tolkien is playing a blinder and will be able to take the inhibitor. The top lane inhibitor is going to be going down as well, with Jokerism hammering away at it. And now they even look towards this mid lane.
Yeah, they're going to try and take all 3 inhibitors in this situation. Look at Tolkien coming from the back here. Got a lot of pressure.
Yep.
Avril gets locked up, but with that, GA is not an attractive target for Last Breath. Don't overstay here, XL, though. Jokerism, my word, what are you doing?
That was a little bit crazy coming out from Jokerism. He wanted to make the plays, but just gets shut down. Brixton will be traded, though, as Tolkien is able to pick up where his teammate was slacking, and he's going to be able to grab the kills for himself. Avril has to back away. Tolkien once again jumping forwards, but the wind wall will keep him alive. Tyrant knocked up, is going to get caught by the Last Breath, and another kill goes the way of the Wayward Warrior. And this is going to be the mid lane inhibitor finally taken, and they might look to just push this one through. 30 seconds on Brixton, 40 on Tyrion. The Nexus towers are going to be battered on down. The Samurai himself swinging his blade, but I don't know if they've actually got the damage to finish these off.
Zandia comes in.
Yeah, Zandia is going to come in. They've run out of Baron buff, though, so they need to make this happen quickly. Sooner rather than later. 10 seconds on Brixton. The last Nexus tower does go down. Avril on this backline. Grisson is going to get knocked up. Doesn't actually go down in the end. Scudzy incredibly low. Avril still surviving, and Brixton's back on the scene. He's got his shockwave. They might be able to save this one. Scudzy just hammering away at the Nexus, though, and I think XL have got it in the end. What a close game between these two teams. And XL, to be honest, that was a little bit too close to going south right at the end there, but they are going to be able to take the map, and that means we are neck and neck in this series.
My word, XL, who knew that your secret weapon was that samurai?